Hi everybody, here's a video to show you how to do some very basic, simple manual stitching in arivis Vision 4D using the tile sorter tool. I've imported an image. There are 5 tiles. Each tile has a bunch of planes, and right now all the planes are stacked up on top of each other like a deck of cards. To access the tile sorter, go to the data menu, and down near the bottom you'll see the tile sorter tool, and when you launch the tile sorter you're going to see something like this. So you're going to see all the planes of your image displayed and numbered and explorable, and then at the top you'll see a bunch of controls. You're going to want to start in the top left hand corner and start to give tile sorter information about the image. So in this case I just have one time point, so frames is going to stay 1, and I know that there are 486 planes in each one of the tiles, so I'm going to punch in 486, and then I'm going to see that the tile sorter organizes all of my planes into 5 tiles. We don't see anything in the images because the microscope is actually aimed at a point above the sample in this case, so we're on the first plane of each tile. But what I can do is I can drive in the tile sorter to any tile or any plane I want to. So I can drive down to plane 200, for example, and now we can see features. In the tile sorter you're going to be able to move plane by plane, so you just click the up or the down arrow and you can move plane by plane. You can also create a projection of a number of planes, so in this case projecting plane 100 through 200, and this can help you quite a bit with the alignment. For the purpose of this video I'm going to stick with looking at a single plane. So I'm going to look at plane 200, and as I said before, this is going to be about doing manual alignment, so we'll cover the grid stuff and the automatic alignment stuff in another video. I'm going to switch over to manual mode, so there's a little tab here for manual mode, and to begin working with the tiles and moving them around manually, all you have to do is hold down the left mouse button, click on a tile, and you can just drag it anywhere you want to and then release it. So I'm going to sort of roughly get these into position, very roughly here. So I know this guy's going to go here and this guy's going to go here, and we'll start to put the puzzle together. You can zoom in 2 ways in the tile sorter. So one way is down here in the lower left. There's this scale button or scale bar. I prefer to use the mouse wheel, so I just sort of mouse wheel my way in and out. And now we'll just start to roughly align these tiles, say. So there are a couple of cool features in the tile sorter that are going to really help you to get a good alignment. One is this selection transparency tool. So by turning the transparency up, so making the tile much more transparent, now I can see the tile underneath it, and it's easier for me to get an accurate alignment. So this is pretty cool, and this applies to whatever the active tile is. So if I click on this tile, now this one becomes the transparent one. So this is pretty cool. One feature that I use all the time and I really like is to use the space bar. So I use the space bar to pretty much toggle the tile almost completely off and then on again. And so what I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit and I'll toggle the tile off like this and back on, and by toggling it off and on I can see sort of what direction it needs to move, and then I use the arrow keys on the keyboard to nudge the tile 1 pixel at a time, and this is how I can get the get them aligned up like pixel perfect. So I can see this guy needs to move a little to the left, a little up, and now it's getting really close to being almost right on. Alright, so it's almost right on, so now I'm going to move on to another tile. So let's do this guy. So I'll move it here. Alright. So again, I'm using the space bar to toggle the tile off and on, and then I'm using the arrow keys to wiggle the tile around. Alright, we'll get that one roughly. That's looking pretty good. And then I'll do the same thing for this one and for this one. Okay, so then once you have the tiles lined up and you're happy with the alignment, well, maybe you want to make sure you're really happy. So what you can do is you can move around. You can continue to navigate to different planes. So now we're on plane 100. I can go to plane 300, say, or plane 430 or something like that. So I can inspect the tiles at the various planes and make sure that it's it's lined up to my satisfaction. Another thing you can do is you can actually move the tiles in Z. So if you right click on a tile, you're going to be able to shift its position. And I've actually, before I started shooting this video, I actually moved them around. So I adjusted the plane shifts because the planes were all off for this data set. So I've actually already aligned them. But what you'll be able to do is move the planes one plane at a time, or you can even punch in a value, and you'll be able to move the Z plane. So yeah, just to summarize, the key keys in the tile sorter is the space bar for toggling off and on, the arrow keys for wiggling 1 pixel at a time, the mouse left button to grab onto a tile and begin to move it, and then the left mouse button to release it. When you're ready to align them, you click on the alignment tab, and we've put in a bunch of work here to manually align it. We don't need the algorithms to do any wiggling of the tiles. So what we can do is we can set the max horizontal and vertical adjustments to either 0 or 1. I usually just set them to 1. I let the algorithm wiggle by 1 pixel if it so chooses. And then we just hit create stitch planes and we say finish. And Vision 4D will start to stitch and blend them together, and when it's all done, we'll get this. So you get a really nice, this is this same data set. I stitched it right before I started shooting the video, and you get a nice smooth stitch and blend. Hope it was helpful.